How many are too many? My name is Alicia M. or McCann. I decided to do my paper on the effects of overpopulation and global warming. Hopefully you can hear me okay because I'm outside. My personal interests and passions regarding this topic pretty much relate to just animals and the different kinds of species in general. I want to be able to make a difference because I'm worried about our planet and the things living in it. I've seen what people can do with lack of concern. I've watched people throw trash out their window. I've watched people dump things into the lakes and streams. I had a friend that was a mechanic and he literally just let his oil run down the drain. And if he threw all of his oil containers in the trash, and that's everything, those things are supposed to be disposed of properly in a safe manner. I've seen people fish when and where they shouldn't, keeping fish they shouldn't, things like that. I know that we can't all make a change on everything, but I don't know, just making people aware, if that's all they can do, then hopefully it helps. When it comes to overpopulation and climate change, there's a few things that are pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. There's too many people on this planet. With how we all live, you can see why there's an overabundance of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. There is over 7 billion people. That is a lot of trash. On average, an average American produces a little over 4.5 pounds of trash per person every day. For Wisconsinites, that's about 4.6 million tons of trash. Trash causes gases to build up under the ground. Mostly it's known as methane, and it's another potent greenhouse gas. People like their toys, their cars. They aren't willing to give up anything pretty much. SUVs, vehicles, are responsible for over 26% of all the greenhouse gas emissions. We aren't willing to make sacrifices. Riding bikes, taking the bus, ride shares, those are all little steps that could be taken to help the environment. People are driving further now because with everything growing, in certain areas things are closer together, but in others things, it takes longer to get to places you want to go. Deforestation is one of the biggest contributors to carbon dioxide emissions. Deforestation is something that pretty much everyone needs to be aware of. It's a huge contributor to global warming. It comes down to money and agriculture pretty much. According to the United Nations, over 18 billion trees were cut down last year. The slash and burn technique is the first form of deforestation that causes emissions to go up. When the trees get cleared, they release their CO2. Secondly, they collect CO2 from the atmosphere and release oxygen. So when they're cut down, the rates go up because cutting them down releases CO2 and it takes away from healthy trees that can collect CO2. So it's pretty obvious why the CO2 emissions go up when you do that. The slash and burn technique is being used to create room for more cattle, building new farms or communities. The demand for more wood to build these things is another reason. There are many more things that are made from trees, like paper products, pencils, even some ingredients. Another reason that deforestation is an issue, or that the loss of trees, is from wildfires. People just being inconsiderate and not being aware of their actions. That takes out a bit of the tree population. Also, the migration of certain species in areas or people is causing smaller trees to get stampled on, or the migrating animals are eating the trees before they have time to get to a safe enough size. They're just not able to grow safely like they used to. and it takes a tree a really long time to get to a safe size. Deforestation is one of the reasons CO2 emissions are where they're at today. There is around 7 tons of CO2 per person in the atmosphere at any given time. It's important because of its abundance and what it's doing to the atmosphere. The burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas are how CO2 gets into the air. Right before the Industrial Revolution, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere had gone up and down equally about 5%. At the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and going forward some 15 years from now, it's said that the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere will have doubled easily, and that's only a 150-year difference. CO2 is really important in the way that people need to be aware that it's coming from what we're doing. There's a few more gases that needed to be discussed too, an example being methane. Methane is coming from the millions of tons of human waste. We produce a lot of waste every year. You need to be aware because the amount of waste has caused the methane gases to increase by over 50%. It's very capable of causing temperatures to increase, and it's very, very good at trapping the heat from the temperature increase in the atmosphere. Another gas that people should be alarmed about is nitrous oxide. I don't think that's as common, at least not talked about. It should be pretty alarming because 60% of it is coming from nature, natural occurrences. We're not helping the matter, but heating the earth up causes permafrost to melt. It comes from that. It is 300 times more powerful than CO2 when it comes to trapping dangerous heat in the atmosphere. That's more than methane. That's a lot. And I don't know why it's not made, why people aren't more aware of it. The population is the reason that a lot of these issues talked about are where they are. We're close to 7.5 billion people right now. It's hard to account for every person worldwide, but that seems to be the most popular number. It's said that Earth's carrying capacity is between 9 and 10 million. Those numbers are coming from equations of land and crop production, also the amount of available drinking water. These numbers are supposedly very firm, and we will not be able to take the Earth any farther. The other question is, what resources will run out? Is it about what we have done to the planet and its ability to be livable? We can't live if there's no sun. We can't live if there's no crops. We can't live if all of the faults go and some of the continents go underwater. Everything that we have needs to be there to keep everything going. It's a cycle. The grass, the sun, the wind, it's all there for a reason. The future, it's not looking so great right now. When it comes to global warming and climate change, we are witnessing the beginning. The effects will become noticeably apparent in the near future. Crops could start to adapt and grow better in places like the north, but that won't last forever, and eventually they will all die. When it comes to weather, it could look like longer, hotter days. We'd have less cool periods like winter, with the warmest times being inland, not closer to the ocean, but sometimes in cooler regions. The heat will stay for longer periods of time, causing lasting heat waves. This will become a more common occurrence. When we do see storms, they're going to be getting a lot stronger. We've kind of seen that a little bit now. They'll continue to grow. We will see extreme weather like floods, hurricanes, tsunamis. The hurricanes will change and produce much larger wind forces and waves. That's all from warming waters, pretty much. Droughts is another big issue. They will become more usual and they'll last a lot longer because of the precipitation pattern changes. Warming of the seawaters are expanding. The mountains and glaciers are continuing to melt. This will be a shock at first, especially for countries and communities that have never faced anything like this. They will have to adapt to the new climate changes that some have never seen or dealt with before, and not everyone is capable of those adaptations. Another vital thing that we need to talk about when it comes to overpopulation and global warming is what is happening to our ecosystems and the species living in it. Ecosystems and all of the species in them are important because they help the planet work. It's like a factory. For it to run smoothly, everyone needs to show up to work and all of the machines need to work. Like I said earlier, it's a cycle. The plants and animals live together in a complex network of food webs, food chains, and things like that. These are being disrupted by climate change. Species are having to move because of the loss of food and habitat. Not only that, but certain species are disappearing faster than they can reproduce. The plants are going where they shouldn't be. Some aren't showing up at all. The plants are one of the most important things in the food chain. They're towards the bottom. Natural foliage is a major source of food and shelter for many species. Migrant species are starting to look for food earlier. The bees and other pollinators' life cycles are changing and being cut short. Pollination is a complex process. Farming techniques and weather changes are causing a loss of vital species like the pollinators because of an overgrowing population. The migrating species, even whole ecosystems, are moving towards the poles. The ones that can't get acquainted to the new environments will eventually die, and some will face extinction. No one can expect solutions to happen right away. What can we do? First and foremost, humans are the main cause, and it's from everyday things, as simple as turning on the air conditioner, leaving your car run while you're waiting at Walgreens to get a prescription, driving a big SUV when you could be driving a hybrid vehicle. Trucks, planes, trains, they all use gasoline or a type of fuel which is burned and turned into a greenhouse gas. Imagine 7.5 billion people doing one or all of these things every day. CO2 emissions are a big problem. This is again because people aren't just operating vehicles, they're traveling longer distances. Not just the vehicles, the corporate moguls running factories and power plants with no regard to others, leaving your furnace on when it's warm enough outside and you can shut it off. It really doesn't take much. Anything that takes fuel burns fuel, which turns into CO2. According to the EPA, in 2014 alone, gas emissions from vehicles were responsible for around 26% of all the emissions in the United States. That made it the second largest cause of rising greenhouse gases in the U.S., falling only one step behind electricity use. The emissions from transportation have increased by 17% since the 1990s, and there is still an increase from other gases and other issues. The demand for cars is accumulating. This is a result of more people. The amount of time driving and the miles being driven has gone up almost 40% in the last 25 years. There are buses, eco-friendlier vehicles, ride shares. In our area, you can rent bikes. There's funding to help people get bikes for transportation. There is hope. If everyone could substantially cut back their output of emissions, there would be a chance for a promising future. It might seem like a lot, but there's over 7 billion people, so it wouldn't really take every single person that much. This is especially true in areas like the US and Canada. Bringing attention to these issues to people that are unaware or not ready to listen would be another big stride. For those that are aware, you probably know of a few things that we could do to help. Unfortunately, steps need to be taken very soon. Time is of the essence in this issue now. It is up to us everyone needs to take action. It's man's responsibility because he was given the opportunity to live here and use the planet's resources. It wasn't a right. It was a gift, and I don't think everyone sees it that way. A lot of people don't look at it that way. Something to think about. An 18th century philosopher named Thomas Malthus had some words of wisdom for future occupants. Quote, humans' unquenchable thirst to reproduce would ultimately lead us to overpopulate the planet, eat up all the resources, and die. That's from the 18th century. If they were considering this or having issues like this or predicting the future to be like this, that says something about where the planet is now and what changes we need to make.